Okay, everyone, so this video is going to be to show you where to find and how to write your results for your ANOVAs. So what we're looking at here, we just ran an ANOVA, and we are looking at differences. So the way that we run an ANOVA, it won't, I don't know that it will show up on your screen here. It's been having trouble with this, but you'll need to go to Analyze, General, Linear Model, and Univariate. When you get to, when you get to that pop-up, you guys need to put your independent variable that has at least 3 levels. It should be a categorical variable. In our case, it's group. And then your dependent variable will be, in our case, argument resolution score. So that's what we're looking for. So remember that with ANOVAs, we are looking for differences between at least 3 groups or more. So, for example, with SES, you guys might see 5 groups. That's still an ANOVA. As long as it's got 3 or more, you're still running an ANOVA. So what we need to do first is we're looking at this table with a lot of information, but we really only need pieces of this information. So let's make this a little easier to look at. The first thing that we need to do is look where our variable row is. So in our case, our variable is actually called group. Okay, if you were looking at SES, right here where group is, the letters or the word SES would be here instead, because that's the variable you would be using. So we're going to skim across here, and we need to first know if our results were significant. So we have found our variable row. We need to move across the row and go right here where it says sig. Okay, and the reason we choose this one above these two is because this one is the one that corresponds with our variable that we tested, our variable row. So we see group, we skim all the way across here. This is our p-value for our ANOVA for our variable group. Okay, so the p-value is 0.001, which is significant. So that tells us that there are significant differences somewhere between the couples therapy, individual therapy, and control group. Okay. So now we're good to start writing our results initially. So the way that we'll write this is, and I'm going to type them out as we go. So the way that we're going to write this is, in order to test the hypothesis that there would be differences between the couples therapy group, the individual therapy group, and the control group, and ANOVA was run. Okay. So now this is our first sentence. Now we need to know if our results were significant or not significant. And I've already started writing this out for you. But you know, if this is not significant, you would write results were not significant, and you still have to report what we're going to report here if it's not significant, but you need to make sure you know if it is or not, and you need to report that. Be sure not to put insignificant. That is incorrect. Be sure to write reports were not significant. Okay, so now I need to know, we saw that based on our p-value that it is significant, but now I need to know how to report this information in this table. So now that we've said results were significant, we need to say, we need to start writing out our actual results. So here, I've started doing it for you. So you're going to want to put a parentheses and then a capital F. This is just for ANOVAs. And then we're going to need to come down here. And first, we're going to need to subscript, which is right here. You're going to need to put another set of parentheses and do a subscript. And the first thing we need to report here is our degrees of freedom for our variable. So we find our variable row again, right here. And we look over till we get to the degrees of freedom. The DF here stands for degrees of freedom. So we find our degrees of freedom that also corresponds with our variable row, which is group, and that gives us 2. So we're going to type 2 here. Okay. Now with t-tests, you only have to report 1 degrees of freedom. For ANOVAs, you have to report 2. So we're going to put a comma, and we're going to need to go back and look at our next degrees of freedom that we need, which is the error, degrees of freedom of error. So we find our error here. It's right below your variable row. This is our row for error, and we're going to skim over to the degrees of freedom that corresponds with the error row. And this is 21 for us. So we're going to go back to our results and do 21. And then we can come out of subscript. We'll close the second set of parentheses, come out of subscript, and do an equals. So now we need to write what actually our F value is. So we'll go back here, and now we're going back to our variable row. Other than using the error row to find your degrees of freedom, you'll always come back to your variable row. So here we've got group. We're going to go all the way over and look at our F value. So you guys see where it says F? We come down where it matches up with our group variable row, our group row, and we've got 9.602. So that's what I'm going to write, 9.602. Well, that's only reporting our F value. So now we need to put a comma, and now we need to report our P value. And our P value is, like we said before, 0.001. So that's what we'll do. We'll write equals P equals 0.001. So now we have finished two parts of our ANOVA. So now we need to ask so we've got significance, so what do we need to do next? Well, we don't know where the differences lie in between these three groups. Which one has a higher score? Which one has a lower score? We don't know. We just know that there are significant differences somewhere. So now we need to run a post hoc. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a separate video, which will be right below this one, to show you guys how to do post hoc, because that one takes a little bit of critical thinking and it just takes a little longer to explain. So far we have written the results for what an ANOVA would look like. And next we're going to work on how to finish writing this when we have significant results, because there is the post hoc piece when you have significant results.